we go. Good morning. Excuse me. Excuse me. Rise in freedom. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. What's so funny, AP? Shut up. What's happening, Mommy? Mighty Megatron, Rare Camellia, KV Andy, Steffi P for Liberty in the house today. Nice to see you guys. Today is Tuesday, the day before Valentine's Day. But did you know that today is actually a holiday as well? It's Galentine's Day. Oh. For all the single, lonely ladies out there panicking about their eggs drying up. No. I'm told that it's the day that the ladies can all get together and just pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, cheap, pick a lot, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, cheap, pick a little. All right, Austin, you're already in trouble. We just started. What's happening? The AP for Liberty show, the Wake Up America show, streaming live. Man, I got such a crick in my neck. AP, you got to shake off these old bones. Looking kind of dusty today. The Wake Up America show's not dusty, though. We've got some fresh content for you. We missed him yesterday. He's joining us today. Jon Miltimore. It's Mondays with Miltimore, everybody. 7:30 a.m. Central Time. You guys liking my hoodie here? Oh, yes. The Wake Up America show brought to you by the United States of America, bitches. God bless. God bless. God bless. Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. And I'm proud to be an American, because at least I know I'm free. The Wake Up America show is brought to you by viewers and listeners like you. So click that like button and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget that you can always text the show and let us know what's on your mind. 573-319-1586 is the text line. Hit that button over there, the like, the subscribe, and send us a text. Tell us what's happening in the world. Love to hear from what's going on in the world, in your world. You can send me that text. Again, anytime, night or day, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. Oh, it figures that everybody would love this hoodie, and we had so many problems with it in the shop and had to take it out, but it is what it is. We've got some big news stories today. Jon Stewart returns from The Daily Show. Are you guys excited, huh? What?
No, God!
No?
No!
You're not
God,
excited now
please,
that
no!
Jon Stewart has returned? What? Why not? Okay, Michael Scott, shut up. The Wake Up America show is going to go through his clip to see what he's talking about these days. And Joe Biden is obviously going decrepit. Stephanie doesn't like it when I diagnose mental health problems in people when they haven't been actually diagnosed.
How dare you?
But I think the guy is suffering from either dementia or sundownerism. I'm going to do it anyway. So, Steffi, sorry, you're going to have to be mad at me. Just too bad. Thankfully, it's not against the law, and plenty of people diagnose me as bat insane anyway. So,
FBI, open up!
they're coming to take me away. Haha. They're coming to take me away. Haha. Hoo haha. To the funny farm, where Kermode Bear gives me tips and says, I like fish, alcohol, and bonus content. Give it up. You guys are going to effing love the bonus content today. As usual, if you want to unlock the bonus content, you have to tip me. You have to tip me as I shake my booty on the stripper pole for tips. If we raise $50 by the end of the show, you will unlock today's bonus content. The theme this week is the top most libertarian presidents. Yesterday was a fan favorite, Martin Van Buren. Quest Fanning just took $2 and put it in my G-string. Appreciate that. $12 in the tip jar. All we've got to do is hit $50 by the end of the show, and we'll unlock today's bonus content. If the bonus content doesn't get unlocked, you know the rules. It goes away, we say goodbye, and you never get to see it again. Can you imagine me making a whole most libertarian president bonus content series, and then you only got to see like 4 out of 5, and you would be like, who was the fifth? Who was it? Was it Ronald Reagan? Who was it? Was it Thomas Jefferson? No, it wasn't, actually. Although Ronald Reagan might make the top 10. We'll see, though. So if you'd like to see that, then you can do us a favor and drop a tip in the tip jar through Rumble Rants. And also, just FYI, if you make purchases during the show at apforlibertyshop.com, that counts. So if you go and you buy an Afuera t-shirt and they're $25, then that's $25 that counts toward it. So there you go. There you go. Tip me, tip me. Here we go. Wouldn't want to bit me. Here we go. Here we go. We'll have John Miltimore at 7:30. Camelia Peterson's going to join us today, and everybody loves Camelia. I know. You guys want her to be your girlfriend. Too bad, too bad. Camelia will be here at 8 o'clock today to talk about an International Liberty Summit that happened last night, hosted by me, to talk about the new caucus of Javier Milei Republicans in the United States. That's it. I'm taking my ball, and I'm not going home. It's time for a new wing of the Liberty Movement because, honestly, the Liberty Movement in the United States is stale, it's tired, it's dying, it's just overrun by nincompoops and just bonkers chemtrailers and people who, hate the men with and women, the men who wear the tiny little hats. And honestly, it's time for us to start something new. So, you know what? I'm doing it. It's time. I think that we should start the caucus within the Republican Party. Some people say, no, we need to start a new political party. I really, as somebody who has done third-party political stuff for over a decade, I can tell you, you don't want to go that direction. I say we take over the GOP. Javier Milei Republicans. Afuerists. Afuera! What do you guys say? You guys in on that? You guys want to start a new liberty movement in the United States? Because this old one's getting tired. I'm getting sick of it. It's time for us to move on. I got a new baby coming, and damn it, we need liberty in this country. What do you say? Love to hear your thoughts. I mean, not everyone loves Camellia. That's true. I think that Chris Lonsdale in Kansas City is not a big fan because you're like a big stooge for the Cokes or something like that. Anyways, at 8:30 a.m. Central Time, who do we have in the show? Who do we have? We've got JD Too Chilly. Oh, yeah, JD. JD Too Chilly is going to talk to us about Joe Biden's no good, very bad day. Things only seem to be getting worse for the president of the United States. The King of Jordan came to the White House yesterday, and here's how Joe Biden looked. Listen to this.
Let me start by welcoming His Majesty, the King of Jordan. He's been a good friend. Abdul, welcome back to the White House, man. Welcome back. And by the way, Barack's looking at you in the corner over there. Along with Queen Rihanna, who is meeting with Jill now, and the Queen, and the Crown Prince Hussein. Where is the Prince out there? I thought he was coming out. At any rate, Your Majesty, over to you.
Okay, well, that wasn't the worst I've ever seen him, but it's not like things are necessarily improving. Take a listen to this. 5 straight minutes that we won't go through, showing exactly why the special counsel noted Biden's diminished mental.
It's not, we lead, not just, well, I won't go into it.
Here's say you got more than one reason to explain something. You better know what those 2 reasons are. Somebody is laughing at the music. Yeah, no, it's sad. But Nancy Pelosi is out there doing the whole Baghdad Bob routine in favor of Biden. Take a listen to this.
So I think that, again, age is an objective fact. As I say, it's all relative. He's younger than I am, so what do I have to say about his age? But he is, again, knowledgeable, wise. And after the football game yesterday, which I was sad, I'm proud of the San Francisco 49ers.
I didn't want to bring it up with you, but since you brought it up.
Yeah, but I mean... The reason I brought it up is because at the end of the game, you saw experience prevail. We have a new, fresh team. Wait till next year. We're getting all ready for it. But you saw experience prevail at the end. Experience is so important. So Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker. This is a very sharp president. In terms of his public presentation, if he makes a slip of the tongue here or there, what's the deal? He is... he has
you see a difference.
What he needs mentally and what he has in his heart empathetically for the American people.
Okay, there, Nancy. It's not working for you out. Quest Fanning says, has anyone tried taking out Joe's cartridge, blowing off the dust, and putting it back in? Very funny, Quest. This video was making the rounds yesterday. This young lady doing a nice impression of our vice president, who doesn't have much to say either.
We are here today at this prestigious
insert location
to talk with people. Okay. People in uniform, people in suits, people in t-shirts, people in dresses, and all of these people are here today together, okay? Because we want to be unburdened by the things that have burdened us in the past and in the present and perhaps even in the future. And as I look around, I see the sun is shining and I see that there are trees over there.
She actually does sound like her, doesn't she?
And there is ground beneath us. And I have hands and they are clapping. And I am laughing. Thank you. Thank you.
That was good. That was very funny. Yeah. So again, we at least we have time for at least we still have Vice President Kamala Harris, who said the other day that she is ready to serve after that special counsel report showed that President Biden isn't able to really answer questions all that well.
An impact the decades been making because inaction was there was inaction with the Department of from Charlotte, another line going from in Florida down to Tampa. The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway. The idea that
What's the idea there? All right. Well, Jon Stewart's back on The Daily Show, and he took aim at the president's age last night.
They are both similarly challenged. And it is not crazy to think that the oldest people in the history of the country to ever run for president might have some of these challenges. Now, Democrats will say that any criticism...
Thank you to Quantum Kitty. Appreciate you. She says Biden is failing fast. We age in steps, and he's walked off the edge of that last step. How people can claim he's a fit, much less fit for POTUS, boggles my mind. Amen, Quantum Kitty. Thank you for the support. Only, I think, $25 more to raise by the end of the show, and you'll unlock the bonus content that I produced for you today about one of America's most libertarian presidents. Let's continue.
Like this, especially if Biden, is unfair because you just don't know Biden like they know Biden.
President Biden, who I've been around numerous times just in this last year, is sharp, he's focused, he's bright.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
He's smart, he's on his game.
I was in almost every meeting with the president, and the president was in front of and on top of it all, coordinating and directing leaders who are in charge of America's national...
Don't you just love the gaslighting in real time? He's sharp, he's intelligent, he's brilliant. He can't even tell where he is right now. He's getting everything accomplished. He's wise, they say. By the way, thank you to Tony Martinez. He just dropped $10 in the tip jar. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you. All we got to do is raise $5 more, and by the end of the show, and if we do, then I will unlock your Grover Cleveland bonus. Oh, did I already say who it was? Oh, dang it. I gave it away. There you go. One of the most libertarian presidents in American history. Today's bonus content will be on Grover Cleveland. So if you'd like to unlock that bonus content by the end of the show, all we have to do is raise $5 or you could sell a keychain over at apforlibertyshop.com. That should do it. So anyways, if you want to see the Grover Cleveland bonus content today, then you've got to make that $5 donation. Thank you, Tony.
Security, not to mention our allies around the globe.
Did anyone film that? Because if you're telling us behind the scenes he is sharp and full of energy and on top of it and really in control and leading, you should film that. That would be good to show to people instead of a TikTok where he goes, chocolate chip cookie. We see he's in charge. You see, I like cookies. Of course, when it comes to Republicans, they've got a different strategy for their 77-year-old candidate.
Well, first of all, Donald Trump is not an old man.
He's an old man. He is objectively an old man on a human scale. Trump is objectively old. If he was a tortoise, I would tell him as a tortoise at 77, oh, young man, go off and enjoy college. But he's not a tourist. He's not a tortoise. That is not being ageist. That is being human lifespanist.
Very funny, very funny. I am going to play some more clips for you with Jon Stewart, and he's back on the Daily Show gig, but we did cross the $5 line there, which means we raised the $50 we need to give you guys your bonus content. You guys were thirsty for it today. I guess once I said the name Grover Cleveland, everybody was all over it. All right, so you guys ready for some Grover Cleveland goodness? The Most Libertarian President series. We're going to do that. Then when I get back, I'll have John Miltimore to talk about what's happening in the Biden White House. We'll continue this conversation when we get back. Enjoy the bonus content of the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Cleveland presented the best example of a true liberal populist as the GOP grapples with its identity. We find ourselves caught between populism and classical liberal values like free markets and constitutionalism, searching for a balance amidst seeming contradictions. The party faces dilemmas such as regulating big tech, safeguarding blue-collar jobs without stifling economic freedom, and challenging political elites without undermining essential institutions, all while trying to maintain a populist stance. Surprisingly, Grover Cleveland, a Democrat, provides an exemplary model for Republicans seeking to harmonize populism with classical liberalism, having navigated similar challenges during his political career in the late 19th century. As the only president elected to non-consecutive terms, Cleveland emerged as a beacon of integrity during the corruption-ridden Gilded Age, prioritizing the public good over personal and political gains, demonstrating a blend of populism and classical liberalism. Cleveland's tenure as Buffalo's mayor showcased his commitment to fairness, famously vetoing a contract to a friend due to non-competitive bidding, reflecting his dedication to public service over personal connections. His presidency highlighted key issues like tariff reform and the silver debate, positioning lowering tariffs as a populist stance against economic privileges enjoyed by the elite, thereby aligning his policies with the interests of the broader public. Cleveland argued against inflationary policies, believing they would harm the working class by reducing the dollar's purchasing power, thereby aligning his economic policies with the protection of all Americans, not just the affluent. Despite his significant contributions, Cleveland's low-key, principled approach contrasted sharply with the often loud and demagogic style of many populists, focusing instead on principled service to the entire nation. In an era of political strife and division, Cleveland's legacy offers a blueprint for modern Republicans on how to effectively blend populism with classical liberalism, advocating for a governance model rooted in integrity and public service.
Force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have Glad You Came Out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. in the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
There we go. Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson, and you're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. How's everybody today? Did you enjoy the bonus content? Yeah. Grover Cleveland. Yes, definitely one of the top 5 most libertarian presidents, in my opinion. And that's why I was happy to produce the bonus content for you today. Thank you very much for unlocking it. That goes a long way to help support the channel, to help us to spread these ideas of economic freedom and personal liberty, the kind of ideas that Grover Cleveland advanced here in the United States. Well, where did I get the information, the background for that content that I produced? Well, I got it from fee.org. So yesterday we were supposed to have him on, and we didn't. I just forgot. Jon Miltimore's the editor-at-large over at fee.org, and he's large and in charge, joining us live right now. Good morning, Jon. How are you, sir?
Hey, doing great, AP. Good to be back on with you.
Yeah, Jon, I know that Grover Cleveland isn't one of the most remembered presidents in American history, but it always seems like the ones who are the closest to what you and I believe are the ones that nobody ever remembers. Is that a coincidence, or is this the Illuminati trying to keep us down?
No, there's some truth to that, right? Like a lot of these, to become a great president, what do? You got to fight a bunch of wars. You got to start war. You got to pass sweeping legislation. It was sort of that epiphany I had at some point. I studied history in graduate school, and I'm like, you realize all the worst presidents become noteworthy in history by doing things that are unconstitutional, that are immoral. You can see how different, to think of like the first in the 20th century, we had Warren Harding. There was a depression, right? Like there was a serious economic, Harding actually injected free market economics into it, addressed it. People forgot about it. FDR did the opposite. We ended up with a 10-year depression. But the myth is that FDR got us out of it, and then got us in World War II, and he's lionized. So it's really crazy the way we measure presidents and rate them.
For sure. Jon, I saw in the chat somebody said Jon Miltimore is greater than Jon Stewart, which I thought was a nice little compliment. Jon Stewart was poking fun at the President of the United States and his mental fitness because we played this clip of a litany of supporters of his, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and others, saying that the president is great. He's very wise. Behind the scenes, he's really running things. And Jon Stewart says if there's any videos of that, they should probably reveal them. He does appear to be entering a state of decline. But, Jon, I don't know whether to feel bad, whether to feel good. Should he step down? But if he does, then it might make it harder for the Republicans in the fall. He's our best asset. How do you look at this situation right now? Should the 25th Amendment be invoked, and should he be removed?
I think all of that stuff is just so dangerous. And they talked about that with Trump too. And so much of this is in the eye of the beholder. I think invoking the 25th Amendment to do these sort of things is really a bridge we don't want to cross. But yes, Biden is failing. And the loudest people right now, by the way, are not Republicans. They're not conservatives. They're not libertarians. The loudest people are people on the left that are really concerned. If you look, the New York Times, if you go to their homepage now, I haven't been there this morning, but it's been covered. Their entire opinion section, yesterday morning was that Biden needs to go. Like those are the people that are the most panicked. And I think they're right to be panicked. And I think as a country, we should be a little bit panicked. There was a great, it might have been Caitlin Johnson had a great take. It was basically this idea that we need a president to run the country. is a complete fiction. We've been seeing it because, Joe Biden doesn't look much more responsive than a vegetable right now, and things are able to run. Are they running well? No, but I don't think they'd run well anyway if Joe Biden was acute. But I think it does, show that the president of the United States isn't. He's really a figurehead in a lot of ways. Does he matter? Yeah, because they do make important decisions, and having somebody there that actually has good principles and the right values matters. But it does show the presidents don't control world events, even bureaucracies which do more of that. They can't either, even though that they want to. But yeah, but Biden's in serious trouble, and it's going to be a wild 2024. It's going to be a toxic 2024 as well.
Yeah, that was guaranteed. That was written into the cards here. This article I sent you yesterday from the New York Post, the title of it is this. It says, White House in turmoil over migrant crisis, with Biden cabinet member mocked as idiot and bitch ass. Then top Biden aide Susan Rice would privately slam fellow cabinet member Xavier Becerra as a bitch ass and idiot over the migrant crisis. Now, Rice insulted the Health and Human Services Secretary and was clashing with the vice president, the Homeland Security Advisor Liz Sherwood Randall, and other officials while coordinating the administration's border response. In public, they're like, everything's fine, everything's fine. Reminds me of Baghdad Bob from the Gulf War. Everything's fine. The Americans are being destroyed. We're winning on the beaches. We're taking millions of prisoners. But privately, everything was falling apart. Do you get that impression as well?
Oh, it's 100%, and it shouldn't surprise us. The fact that these stories coming out, are coming out now, that's telling too. It's kind of that moment where it's like an NBA team on the court, right? Where things aren't going well, and everybody's starting to blame each other, and they're starting to point like, it's, what are you doing? They're losing their cool. That stuff's going on behind the scenes, and now people are actually going and leaking those stories to reporters and thinking about their book deal afterwards. This is sort of what just typically happens, not just during election cycles, but during meltdowns of political campaigns too. If you think back to like Kamala Harris's presidential campaign, which was a disaster, you had more material from that. Like it was just hilarious to read because it was all infighting, all backstabbing, and all these great stories coming out. And we're seeing that now with the Biden campaign. And it goes back to immigration though. And the people there, you realize none of them, they're quoted in the story, this anonymous person that's given the story, but nobody wants that issue. Nobody, they all see it as a hot potato or as a grenade that's about to go off. Nobody knows how to fix it. Even the solutions that some people, listening might offer, those aren't palatable, to the Biden people. I think they're going to they just turn it into a political tool now, right? They're going to say, we're going to try to pass a bill. We know it's going to fail, and then we'll blame Republicans for the problem. And politically, that is probably their best chance to stay arm's length from this. I don't think it's going to work. I'll tell you this: I saw some of Trump's campaign ads that they're preparing on this front, and they're really good, and they're going to hang the immigration issue. Oh my gosh! Like it just shows quotes after quote of Joe Biden saying he's going to dismantle the border. And he's going to, roll back this Trump rule, and then it just shows people streaming in, and they're using all Biden's own rhetoric against him. They were really good ads, and you don't have to be, I don't care. Put your politics aside on the immigration issue. These ads are going to be highly effective. They're going to run them in battleground states over and over and over. I think immigration is the issue in 2024, for better or worse. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor. The economy is still big, but if you look like the Biden people, like they're saying we got a good economy and nobody cares. Now, I think you and I would say we could rattle off a dozen things that are seriously bad in this economy, but they want the economy to be the issue, but it's not going to be. It's going to be immigration. People feel a great deal of fear over this. We're talking, 8 million people that have come into the U.S. during the Biden administration. Now they take issue with that number. They say, well, that's actually border stops versus some people go multiple times, but then they can test that number. But either way, we have to put these people somewhere, right? Like these are people we're seeing. It really is to say humanitarian crisis is not hyperbole. You have cities right now that were all sanctuary cities that said, "Yeah, come on, come on, come on." It was almost like the tragedy of the commons. They're saying, "Yeah, come here." They weren't saying, "Come in our house," but we're going to take care of you and do some of these things. And now a lot of these cities are overrun, and you have people that aren't able to work, don't have a place to live. Our immigration, policy is really a mess right now. And I think you can find libertarians, conservatives, and progressives that all agree the whole policy is broken. And where we go from here, I'm not sure, but it's going to be a hard thing to watch because you have a lot of people suffering.
Bruce Burtwhistle, our new friend over at Rumble, says the immigration issue is fixable, but in order to do it, the administration has to admit that they were wrong first. Well, that's never going to happen.
No!
That's never going to happen, but I do appreciate the comments. Do us a favor, click like and subscribe on the stream if you haven't already. We'd love to have you come back and join us here. The Wake Up America show streams live every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. We're speaking to John Miltimore. He's the editor-at-large at the Foundation for Economic Education. We appreciate him joining us here for his weekly gig. Usually we call it Mondays with Miltimore, but today we got it Tuesday. We got him on Tuesday. This immigration crisis sounds like everybody's on the same page, except for the Biden administration. Here's the thing. At some point in politics, when some policy makes sense, or when it makes sense for somebody to save their skin to do something, usually they'll do it. The Biden administration doesn't seem to be getting that signal. I mean, it's in their best interest to do something about immigration. When you've got homeless encampments getting set up on the streets of Denver, Colorado, all over the place, you've got Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, and the mayor of Chicago out there saying something needs to get done. His own party is going to have a rebellion against him on this one. What's stopping them? Is it ideology in the White House, or is it just pure stubbornness? Maybe a little of both?
Yeah, and I think there is politics too, because a lot of these solutions would require Biden, doing things that rescinding policies he rescinded, putting those back in place, right? Where you have people that whether they're stopped at the border, they wait in Mexico for asylum first. He rescinded that policy, right? That and that's one of the things Trump keeps hitting him on. And that's a big issue. And I will say, like this issue is complicated. I know a lot of people want to pretend it's not. Like we just need a wall or a moat with alligators, or we just need all these things. This is a complicated policy for reasons that go beyond, whether we're open borders or not. You're going to have in this country, what the number is, I don't know. Like you're going to hear varying numbers, 20 million, 25 million people, illegal immigrants, undocumented, migrants, whatever you want to call them. And what happens? Okay, let's say that we did get the border problem. Let's say, okay, but there's a political solution is reached. I know a lot of conservative people that want those people out. And I'm like, have you thought that through? Have you thought what it would take to remove 20, 25 million people? Like, do you know what kind of undertaking that is? To me, that's a horrible idea. And they're like, well, what would you do? I'm like, well, nothing. Like there's no way to move 25 million people that are now again, if you commit a felony and we find out, yeah, we can say that there's things that can be done. Okay, like okay, you were in here unlawfully, you're a felon. If the host country actually will take that person back, like there's steps there. But I think this mass deportations is a terrible idea.
I don't know that it is. Have you ever seen that movie Soylent Green?
Mm-hmm.
You know that scene where they go and everybody's riding and then they just bring in the dump trucks and they just scoop everybody up? You just bring in the dump trucks, you just scoop them all up and then you just drive it to the border and then you just Soylent Green is people, it's people. All right, obviously I'm joking.
I mean, Charlton Heston was great in that movie, by the way.
He was. That's a great film. Listen, they've already broken the law by coming here, John. I mean, they've already flouted the laws of the country by illegally coming to the United States. So, is it feasible to round them all up? Probably not. Should we start with people who commit felonies? Yes, but they've all broken the law to be here, and in that sense, they're already showing that they don't have any respect for our constitutional system to a degree.
Yeah, see, breaking a federal migration law to me is not the same thing. It's one of those things I think libertarians are good at reminding people. There's a difference between, a vice and a crime. A lot of times we criminalize things in this country that we think really frankly should not be criminalized. Now when you smoke pot and like you're breaking the law and somebody says, oh yeah, you deserve to be in prison for that. I disagree. I know what the law says, but that's a person who's not committing any real crime. He's just consuming a plant that he bought or grew for himself. And for me, people that are coming here from Venezuela, a country that was just destroyed by socialism, they're like, I need to get the hell out of here. And there's a place to go there. And I don't think they're thinking like, oh, I don't care about their constitution. I don't care about that. I think they just need to go somewhere. And they're trying to survive. And I don't want to, our broken immigration policy, should not be the reason that because they were able to just walk right in, almost like the Capitol, right? Like a lot of we've made it very easy, and we've sent signals to people there. Come here. We have politicians saying, yeah, come we're a sanctuary city. Come on up here. And so we've created all these signals for people down there to come here. And then we're going to blame them when they do and say you're a lawbreaker, you're a crook, you're a criminal. I don't think that's fair to a lot of people. Now, are there some of those in there? Absolutely. And again, felons, people that are violent criminals, I think that there's no reason that we need to keep people like that here.
Tony Martinez over in the chat says mass deportation will not work, but there has to be more deportation, and it needs to be shown and communicated. Most people don't even realize where the United States has its deportation airport. I agree, and even I think just showing that we're going to enforce the laws on the books is enough to deter a lot of people from coming. I think that the lawlessness that's occurring is because we're showing that we're not going to enforce our laws. And a lot of people are like children. They're going to say, oh, well, if there's no rules, then I can do whatever the hell it is that I want. And I think that is a large reason for the crisis on the southern border. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I think for so long it's been completely dysfunctional, and even the laws on the books weren't being enforced. And here's the thing: this has actually made me. I've drifted from being, I've always been pro-immigration, partly because my family were migrants at one time. Like America's built on that. That idea still has a certain power to me. And then you saw things getting out of control there. But I've actually become a little bit more open borders by watching the bureaucracy dysfunction. Okay, and saying, you know what, we have like the worst of both worlds here. Like we're having, like millions of people, like a humanitarian crisis, but we also have this huge bureaucracy that is doing nothing. That is, I'm like, just disband DHS. Like they're useless. Like in when I was a kid, we didn't have a Department of Homeland Security, right? We have this massive bureaucracy. It's actually making things worse. I am pragmatic enough to realize that you can have, the world has what, close to 8 billion people in it now. We all can't live in the United States, right? I'm aware of that. And if you had no border at all, like if you just said we are open borders, and I know a lot of libertarian friends that are, my challenge to them is always, well, you'd have companies that will say, okay, you want to go to the United States, we'll help you get there. And you can sell yourself into indentured servitude, for 5 years. We're gonna pay for you to get there, but you're gonna be paying us. And you would have businesses that would set up to do that. And if that's all legal and that's okay, you'd have like a whole entrepreneurial apparatus that would come around that. And you would have,
Wait, are you arguing in favor of indentured servitude?
I'm actually not.
Okay. I'm just making sure that I couldn't tell if you were being serious and you were advocating in favor of it or against it, because I was just.
I'm using that as a point to people who haven't really been, who are open borders, and say if you're really open borders, like you got to be cool with that. With companies that are saying I'm going to go into Nairobi and tell people, hey, you want to go here, like, and you're gonna get
right.
Those things would happen.
I know. Well, it's happening now, right? It is happening now, and we have human trafficking that's occurring on our southern border. Private property owners can't even legally defend their own property, John. There are farmers who are having incursions onto their land, migrants destroying their property, and coyotes destroying their property, and pushing their way across their land, destroying their crops, destroying their trees.
That's chaos. That's lawlessness. That's not what I signed up for as part of the American experiment. The national security is an imperative of the federal government of the United States, and they can't keep the kids that are being trafficked across the border safe. They can't keep American citizens who live in San Diego safe. They can't keep American private property owners safe. Something has to change. I want to be a country that is welcoming to immigrants, but I want them to come here legally. And I still believe that the Ellis Island system was far better. But frankly, John, it's not the 1900s anymore. And you don't have to get on a boat and take a month and a half long trip to come to the United States to be funneled through a port, get your disease check, get your security check. And then if you don't pass it, then they put you on the boat back home. We have Chinese nationals as a growing contingent of the people coming across our southern border. Those are security threats. That's not migration. We're talking about spies and saboteurs.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. China, if they want to get a spy into our country, they're going to get a spy into our country. There's a million ways to do that. And I think, if you're going to be a free society, you have to, look and say, yeah, the countries are going to be, you're going to have a free movement. You're going to have people that can get there. I don't think China's going to be smuggling a lot of spies in through our southern border.
Why not?
They don't need to. Like I said, they can get them on a plane. There's a million ways to get here. You don't have to go through the southern border.
But then there's an actual record. But then there's an actual record. I mean, we can agree or disagree on this one. I want to read real quick from Mighty Megatron. Says mass deportation will work, he says, with tougher consequences for illegals. In Arab countries, they chop your hand off for stealing. I don't want to be like an Arab country. He says, guess what? Stealing is low. We need tough consequences to be shown. Okay, well, this is what makes the United States better than Arab countries, to be honest. I don't want to be chopping off anybody's hands. But I do want to enforce the law. I do want to say that we will enforce the law. I want more legal immigration and fewer illegal immigrants into our country. The White House doesn't seem to have any incentive to do it. The Trump administration does have an incentive to do it. What's funny is that I think they actually deported fewer illegals than Obama did, which was kind of a bitter irony. But John, we're running out of time in this segment. Was there anything else on this topic, or perhaps anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners writ large?
No, good conversation. These are tough ones. I think these. I'll just leave with listeners. Is immigration utterly broken? Yeah. Is there a humanitarian crisis? Yeah. I think fixing all these problems. I'll be honest. I don't think it's going to get fixed if we have a Trump administration either. I think we're still going to see. Will it be like it is now? No. And is Biden declining? Yes. But there are some serious problems. I think anybody that says they have a silver bullet though, you're going to find these are really complex problems that have grown worse, and the political dysfunction makes them all but impossible to solve. Sadly. But no, that's good. Yeah, check out all our work on fee.org and in my own, I'm on Substack. Check out The Take by Jon Miltimore.
There we go. The Take by Jon Miltimore on Substack. John, thanks for joining us for your regular weekly appearance. We always appreciate your point of view on things.
Hey, great chatting with the AP. You have a good week.
Thanks, you too. Jon Miltimore, everybody. Give him a like. Give him a heart. Click subscribe. Good stuff. So some people had said earlier that the bonus content that I produced about one of our most libertarian presidents, that the audio was a little too loud on it. So I'm going to replay it for you all, and then I'm going to go get Camelia Peterson after the commercial break. We're going to talk to her about the first international summit of Javier Milei Republicans that happened last night, hosted by me, AP, for Liberty, on the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Cleveland presented the best example of a true liberal populist. As the GOP grapples with its identity, we find ourselves caught between populism and classical liberal values like free markets and constitutionalism, searching for a balance amidst seeming contradictions. The party faces dilemmas such as regulating big tech, safeguarding blue-collar jobs without stifling economic freedom, and challenging political elites without undermining essential institutions, all while trying to maintain a populist stance. Surprisingly, Grover Cleveland, a Democrat, provides an exemplary model for Republicans seeking to harmonize populism with classical liberalism, having navigated similar challenges during his political career in the late 19th century. As the only president elected to non-consecutive terms, Cleveland emerged as a beacon of integrity during the corruption-ridden Gilded Age, prioritizing the public good over personal and political gains, demonstrating a blend of populism and classical liberalism. Cleveland's tenure as Buffalo's mayor showcased his commitment to fairness, famously vetoing a contract to a friend due to non-competitive bidding, reflecting his dedication to public service over personal connections. His presidency highlighted key issues like tariff reform and the silver debate, positioning lowering tariffs as a populist stance against economic privileges enjoyed by the elite, thereby aligning his policies with the interests of the broader public. Cleveland argued against inflationary policies, believing they would harm the working class by reducing the dollar's purchasing power, thereby aligning his economic policies with the protection of all Americans, not just the affluent. Despite his significant contributions, Cleveland's low-key, principled approach contrasted sharply with the often loud and demagogic style of many populists, focusing instead on principled service to the entire nation. In an era of political strife and division, Cleveland's legacy offers a blueprint for modern Republicans on how to effectively blend populism with classical liberalism, advocating for a governance model rooted in integrity and public service.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to wake up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor of your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars, ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit PetersonVoiceStudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP4 Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Thank you for your patience. We appreciate that. It's just one guy, me, and dozens and dozens of buttons here. Sometimes the button gets pushed correctly, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the guest doesn't push the button, sometimes I don't push the button. We're pushing lots of buttons here, but we're here. We're not queer. Well, we are a little weird, but, you know, not that way. Joining us now, definitely not queer, Camelia Peterson. I don't know, she is kind of an odd duck. What's up, CJ?
Good morning. I always love the introductions.
Always so awkward.
I do want you all to know that I'm practicing my socialism this morning. Just what you can't see other than my, very bundled up turtleneck is that I'm wearing, fleece lined leggings underneath sweatpants with my very thick socks on because my house is very cold because I realized at 10:30 last night that I had run out of propane. So I'm practicing for our future socialism here in this country. Although I will say, with liberty comes responsibility, right? And I am a living example of not being responsible to know when my propane is getting low and call them.
You've got the Daniela Pensac outfit going on
That's
this morning.
right.
There
Yes.
we go. You're rocking
I
it.
was
There
inspired.
You go. There, good, good. Glad to have you here, CJ. We've got a lot to talk about. First of all, what is this people don't like Camelia thing that I'm hearing today that has to do with our senator, Eric Schmidt, in some tweet? What the hell?
Oh, no, it has nothing to do with our senator. Our senator is doing great. No, I'm just saying, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. It's okay.
Oh, who doesn't like you?
Well, I mean, you mentioned one. Actually, the people who don't like me are can pretty much be summed up in one word, and that would be the authoritarians.
Oh, well, damn. How about that? Try about it. How dare you? Okay, nobody cares. Camelia, let's talk about what matters. Last night, the first international summit of Javier Milei Republicans kicked off, hosted by yours truly. I see you've got all the awesome Javier Milei memes there last night. You want to give us a recap?
Yes. So this was really interesting. Lots of great ideas, good food for thought. Because you talked to several folks who are from Argentina, some still living there, some living in the U.S. now, and basically talked about what does it look like to have the same movement in the United States, and how do we do that? Do we need to, go third party? Do we need to have a Javier Milei wing of the Republican Party? And also, is Trump our Milei? And the parallels there. I think so. Those were really good questions with some good discussion. And it left me with a lot of questions. I think things that we need to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. So let's do that now. Is Trump our Milei? Camelia's like, don't know how she feels about that one. Your thoughts on the discussion surrounding Donald Trump being more amenable to Javier Milei than Joe Biden?
100%. Trump is more amenable to Milei, and I think that that's a very good thing. So that is the one thing when we looked at When Milei won the presidency to begin with, you remember congratulating him. And there were some that were notably silent, which is not a good thing. But Trump actually, did congratulate him. And I think that's a very positive thing. I don't think Trump is our Milei. He just doesn't have the same principled foundation that Milei has. Otherwise, yes, similarities in style and, being a bombastic personality and such. But Lissandro, who was your first guest yesterday, I think really brought up an interesting point in drawing parallels between Argentinian history and US history. And he was comparing their last president to Trump, as in that their last president kind of, wasn't great, but sort of started to move things kind of in the right direction, as was like a step toward what Milei came in and needed to do. And that's how he views Trump. And I think that I thought that was a pretty good analogy, because he's absolutely right. Trump is not going to come in. He didn't, and he won't, this next time. He's not going to come in and make the kind of reforms that Milei is making. And, people can blame that on Congress and all kinds of other things. But the reality is that there are plenty of things that Trump could have done with the Congress he had in the first couple of years, and he did not do. And I think the other, the other area where the comparison falls apart between Trump and Milei is that Trump is notoriously bad about surrounding himself with people who are not in line with the things that he says, whereas Milei has made some very good choices, and all toward getting his goals done. And he's actually taken significant steps towards doing that. I'm not sure Trump ever took any seriously significant steps toward draining the swamp.
Here comes the Trump derangement syndrome.
I'm right.
Yeah, no, you're actually wrong. Because as I have listed over and over again, there were dozens of things that Donald Trump did for draining the swamp that nobody mentions. And the thing is that, and we identified this last night in the summit, that Javier Milei had more power and authority to be able to accomplish the things that he accomplished. So I do blame Congress, Camelia, and I do throw it back on them and say that they were not giving the president the proper bills to pass in order for him to drain the swamp even more. Now, could Donald Trump have done more with his proper authority? Yes, but it's wrong to suggest that Donald Trump even could have accomplished what Javier Milei did. Javier Milei had the authority to eliminate government agencies entirely by writ. It's not the same system of government they have here. And this isn't just like a rote defense of Trump. But at the end of the day, the strategy that I was talking about last night, we need to mention, at least briefly now, is that Trump isn't going to be the head of the Republican Party forever, right? And the question is, are we going to build a coalition that will include people who believe what we are, Javier Milei Republicans, that will actually be seen as credible by the Republican Party, so that when the day comes that it's no longer Donald Trump's political party, that people like ourselves have the credibility to actually take the reins and lead when Donald Trump is done. And if we don't put ourselves in a position to be able to do that by embedding ourselves within a broader coalition, like Milei did to an extent, then we're not going to be ready to win 4 years from now, 8 years from now, when all of this is over. Am I right or am I right?
Well, okay, so yes, I agree. Actually, you are right about that. Trump is not solely responsible for the things that he did or did not do, because we've heard a lot of talk lately about how even in the U.S., the president has too much power. It's become too important of a position, and Congress is not, fulfilling their responsibility in that checks and balances. So you are right. A lot of the responsibility falls on Congress, which is interesting because this bill has been going through the Senate, and they were filibustering for like, I don't know, gosh, including last night, they were probably over 130 hours or more. But Rand Paul was tweeting about it last night, and it includes $60 billion in aid for Ukraine. And that's kind of become the focal point of the pushback on this. And one of the things, so our senator, Eric Schmidt, is, with Rand Paul on this, and he was talking about some things that I thought that were really, interesting. He has that sort of populist vibe, but I do think I've been encouraged with Schmidt to see that it really does seem to be rooted in principle, which is so important because so much of the populism on the right is not rooted in principle. And one of the things he tweeted this morning was that he said nearly every Republican senator under the age of 55 voted no on this America Last bill. 15 out of 17 elected since 2018 voted no. Things are changing, just not fast enough. And I think that's fascinating because that's something I've been seeing, is that I do think it is the younger generations in the Republican Party coming up that are really wanting these kind of changes that you and I are talking about, and are more liberty oriented and wanting to get back to the principles of liberty in America.
Now, the next big question that came up last night in the discussion with Argentine Javier Milei fans and American Javier Milei fans, which it ended up being mostly Argentines last night who were speaking, which was refreshing. We did have a couple of Americans, but they had moved from from what is the name of the country?
Argentina?
Yes, because I get confused. They don't like to be called Argentinian, right? It's not
Argentine.
Argentine. Right.
Yeah.
And I even spoke to someone who splits his time. He's a native Argentine, but he lived in London and split his time between his native country and London. And he had a British accent even, which I thought was kind of fascinating. But the discussion about the proper way for us to form a coalition here in the United States that is a Javier Milei coalition. Should it be a Republican Party thing? Should it be a Libertarian Party thing? But I think people missed, and maybe it's because Argentines specifically aren't familiar with the liberty movement in the United States. They kind of missed the big reason why there's a push by me and others to essentially start up a new liberty movement in the United States. Did you catch that? And are you smoking the spliff that I'm passing your way, Camellia?
Right. Well, there's, in the LP and the libertarian movement in the US, it's become very left leaning. And I don't, the party itself has developed such a stigma and reputation that I don't know that it can be salvageable to be reputable. And so I think that's difficult for somebody, looking from the outside in to see. Unless they're just seeing the video of, Speedo guy, but.
Right. Well, sure. But I mean, did you, you saw the retweet that Javier Milei posted of mine yesterday, right?
Yes, I did. I can't remember exactly what it said, but yes, I did.
Yes. So the tweet that Javier Milei reposted that I posted along with the smug goat. Did you like the smug goat where he's like, yes, because he certainly is not. He's not posting other American libertarians.
I know, right? Yeah.
He's only, for the most part, posting me along with a few memes from Sal Mayweather. He's not posting Dave Smith. He's not posting Clint Russell. He's not posting Tim Pool or all these other people. He's posting tweets of mine like this that said, Javier Milei is shaking up politics here in the United States. Milei is revealing how right-wing anti-Semites and the Ilhan Omar homos for Hamas types have much more in common with each other than with true libertarianism. Keep it up, Havo. You're shaking things up. And that was me quoting someone who was upset that he was in Israel meeting with the prime minister,
right,
Benjamin Netanyahu, and that he had met the Pope, despite the fact that he had said unkind things about the Pope. What was revealed, Camellia, Javier Milei has revealed more about American libertarianism than I think South American politics to an extent.
Absolutely. I think that it's absolutely revealed that they are less about liberty and more about, all these deep conspiracies they want to chase after, and what has become, outright rank anti-Semitism. It's been a little disturbing to see some of that from people who are in, our common, liberty circles of people online. But they can couch it in terms of history and, whatever else they want to do. But the reality is that they're obsessed with it anymore.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I mean, Dave Smith obviously has a beef with me, right? He poked the bear the other day, a couple of days ago. I had just kind of forgotten him and Clint Russell because I mostly just ignored them anyway. But he posted a clip from our debate where he was claiming that I hadn't read the article that I was literally reading to him in real
Right.
time about Murray Rothbard picking the side of Israel or being against Israel, being anti-Israel in their fights from the 1970s that they have all the time with the Palestinians. But the point of me reading that article was not that Rothbard disagreed with me on the Israel issue. It was that he disagreed with the idea that you can't pretend to be neutral or non just because you're non-interventionist doesn't mean you don't pick a side. It's just that Rothbard picked the other side. Javier Milei, who is now the world's most prominent anarcho-capitalist, which must drive them batshit insane. I know it must, especially because he's retweeting me and not them. Is not anti-Israel. He's very pro-Israel.
Right.
He's not a conspiratard when it comes to the Jews that thinks that like the Freemason Illuminati are putting chips in our brains, right? And that there's, like the 5G is going to give us all cancer. Like Javier Milei is not like them. And so you
Right.
have the American Liberty Movement, like at least many of its prominent figures, turning up their noses at the highest elected libertarian in all of human history. This is why we need a new liberty movement in the United States, is it not?
Yes, and they are doing exactly what they accuse the left and the right of doing, and that they are exercising binary thinking. For them, nuance is dead in this. They don't see any nuance at all. You're either all in, for Israel, or you're completely anti. And they're not able to say, look, the overwhelming amount of evidence, or the problem is with Hamas. And, has Israel done things that are not good in the past? Yes, of course. Like, has the US done things that are not good in the past? Yes, of course. But does that mean that like we're just as bad or worse than, the other side? No. And they are totally doing that. I mean, it's very hypocritical. And I think this is also part of the reason why it would never work to try to create this movement and make any actual progress within the Libertarian Party itself right now, is because the thinking is so very black and white, all or nothing. I mean, honestly, it also goes back to that mantra of liberty in my lifetime, which feels good and it sounds good, and I love that, but it is so what we are guilty in America anymore of, and that is short-term thinking. We don't have long-term goals. We're not practicing generational thinking. And so I think that has limited our ability to make pragmatic, long-term steps toward actual liberty and reclaiming our liberties here in this country, because there's just that all or nothing mentality, and that we want it all and we want it now. I mean, I think of Henry David Thoreau all the time when he said, I ask not for no government all at once, but I ask at once for a better government. And like, that's what I want.
Well, yeah, this is good stuff. Camelia Peterson's joining us live right now. Let's give it up. How about a like and a subscribe for Camelia's insights? We're talking about a summit last night that was held between Argentinians and Americans who are interested in carving a new path. The reason why I held that spaces last night was for us to have a conversation about importing Javier Milei libertarianism to the United States. We need a new liberty movement here in the USA. And I find myself in agreement 99 times out of 100 with Javier Milei's version of libertarianism. And I think a lot of people out there really do too. I think more people are seeing what Javier Milei is doing in Argentina, and they want to bring it to the United States. And I think I'm not alone in this. There are more people out there who are agreeing with what Camelia and I are saying, that it's time for us to have a new movement. Now, the last part of this conversation, which is what you were alluding to, which is that the LP is not the proper platform for this. They don't want change. They don't want to win. They want to destroy each other. They want to have fights over who's the most libertarian, and they can't see things in the long term. And they want to go to the American people with an idea to say, you're the reason why the terror attacks on 9/11 happened is that it's your fault. And Osama bin Laden was actually the good guy, and Vladimir Putin is the good guy, and you actually are all the bad people, and it's your fault that all the bad things. Good luck with that electoral strategy. That's not going to happen. The Republican Party
a Javier Milei caucus within the GOP. Picture it, right? We all get wigs. We get we get those white Afuera jackets that we sell at apforlibertyshop.com, and we show up at meetings, at Republican Party meetings, and we bring up like whiteboards with like Department of Education, Housing and Urban Development, right? Afuera, right? And Viva la libertad, carajo, right? And we just start taking over our local Republican parties across the country. It'll be beautiful. Who's with me?
Do you think that'll work?
What? What'd you say?
Do you think that'll work?
I don't know. Sure would get a lot of great media attention, don't you think?
Sure. That's the question, though, right? One of your speakers last night brought this up. I don't know if it was Tito or if it was somebody else. He mentioned the differences culturally and where we are between Argentina and the U.S. in that, honestly, part of the problem is that the the people here are not hurting bad enough. And so that is one obstacle, shall we say, to actually making progress on this, is because people are too comfortable. But the other part of that that he sort of mentioned is something I've been thinking about a lot, are the cultural differences between Argentina and the US. Just Argentinian culture, they're just, known for being much more, flamboyant and bombastic. And so like, what is normal, his style over there. And, people talked about, well, why was he treating the Pope nice? Because he said very bad things about him before, and it sounded like he really didn't like him, but yet here they are laughing together. And, our friend Alejandro, pointed out that this is kind of normal. Like, this is normal. You do this, it's not like you have to be, enemies all of the time. You can come together and also get along. That's not normal here. And so we don't have, so the question is, our Javier Milei is probably not going to look the same, because we do need somebody that will appeal to, American culture and mindset and ideals. And so I'm not 100% sure what that looks like.
Donald Trump. Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that, but a step in a direction anyway.
Okay, so we need to be thinking about the future. We need to think about what the Republican Party looks like post Donald Trump. We need to build a coalition in the Republican Party. Javier Milei Republicans, maybe not the name, but Afuerists, perhaps, Afueristas, something like that. I don't know. Maybe something that doesn't have quite the same Latin American flair, but maybe all it is it becomes a movement in the GOP to get more Latin Americans involved, right? And it's like, based on Javier Milei. And, if we can help deliver the Republican Party victory by bringing in the Latin American votes with the Javier Milei play, I mean, that in itself, I think, would be a great victory. But at the end of the day, Camelia, the long-term strategy has to be looking into the future and saying, how can people who are of our ideological ilk make a change in the Republican Party? Because you're already a Republican. You caucus and hang out with the Republicans. I'm a Republican. The people who believe what we believe and who are actually active in politics, who do things other than just sit in their basements and podcast. I'm podcasting from a studio, by the way. They are the ones who are setting policy, the people who are making an impact, right? The third party people, the people who are like, who eschew politics, which, by the way, somebody sent me this text message last night. This was a quote from Javier Milei. This is perfect for this, saying, Milei trashes libertarians and ANCAPs who don't want to get into politics and throws shade on anyone who does. Here's what Javier Milei says. Conceptually, it has to be said that all of this is very, very strong, because there is a situation where there is a world in which the libertarian, we're addressing the real world. So the discussion about whether or not we should get into politics is naive. But I could almost say dumb people who, in fact, think by doing the opposite thing to what the state says, it gets result. But the state has the power to arrest people. Politicians don't see themselves impacted. They don't see their powers at stake. But I realize the only way to get into the system is to dynamite the system. So, meaning that we need to take pragmatic steps towards our radical agenda, correct?
This is exactly this. So I don't think Tony will mind me telling this. So Tony Lavasco and I were having a conversation here a while back, because I had been approached about taking a position within the party. And so I talked about, because I've always been I pushed back against being involved in the party because there were so many downsides to it. It did not seem to be effective. And were we actually gaining ground? So one of the things that he said to me when I was talking about what I can do to be the most impactful, he said, the problem that we have is that there are not enough people who are libertarian leaning who come in and do things in the political realm and in the Republican Party itself. And they don't last very long because they're too afraid of getting their hands dirty and they want to stay above the fray, so to speak. And he said, like we need people to stay in, and it does require compromise sometimes. And it does require like doing things that purists on the outside looking in will criticize you for, because those you can't gain any influence or power to actually take that control back from the state, give it back to the people if you don't get in there and get your hands dirty to a certain extent, which, this has been an evolution for me over the last few years, because, when I first started, when I first got into this, I like the idea of holding influence and power were just like anathema to me. I did not like that idea. And it's just, I've had to reframe my thinking on it.
Yeah, I don't like the idea either. I don't particularly enjoy it. Running for office sucks. And it's a thankless job to try and change things. But you know what? At this point, at this period of my life, like my frustration with the lack of progress towards our ideals has set a fire under my ass, Camellia. And I am ready to get my hands dirty. I am ready to be called a sellout, statist, traitor, communist, socialist, Republican, authoritarian. Like, call me whatever you want. But I am ready to get my hands dirty if it means that we advance a limited government agenda. I'm changing my tactics, but I'm keeping my principles. Camellia, anything else? Anything else you want to share before we go?
I would just encourage everyone that as you're looking at your elected officials, that you're candidates, we need to not only be holding them accountable, but remember, you catch more flies with honey. And we need to be positively reinforcing the good things that our legislators do. And so, I pinned on my Twitter right now is the Love Your Government challenge. And I think that still stands. We need to find the good things that those elected officials are doing, and we need to positively reinforce them, because humans respond to that. They respond to that more than they do negative reinforcement.
Okay,
this is a psychological reality.
That's your job, Camellia.
And by the way, Valentine's Day is not a real holiday, and if so help me, I will mock you mercilessly if you say anything about that today. Like, just let's not do that. Stop it.
That's fine, Camellia. By the way, I think I just came up with our new name, the name for our new caucus in the GOP, the Forces of Heaven.
I like it. Now I'm with that.
We're seeing it. It's no longer a neighborhood phenomenon. Camellia Peterson, thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate you very much.
Have a great day, everyone.
There you go. Give it up for CJP. CJP. She's good for you and me. Join us every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m. That's when Camelia's regular slot is. So if you enjoy hearing from Camellia, she is a regular guest on the show. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 a.m. Central Time. All right, we've got so much more to go. Lots more fun stuff. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel that you're on right now. And visit ap4libertyshop.com. We've got another guest who's joining us here. JD Tuccili is going to join us in 5 minutes to talk about Joe Biden's horrible, no good, very bad day. I've got to go to commercial break, but before I do, go to ap4libertyshop.com. I know you guys really love this hoodie. Unfortunately, I can't sell it to you because the people who sell it take forever to ship it. So, and I don't want to make customers unhappy. So visit ap4libertyshop.com. I'm going to go get JD Tuccili. When I get back, we're going to talk about Joe Biden's no good, very bad, horrible day on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here. And we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, you know, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America show. So if you want to stay woke and support a great cause, head on over to wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and sign up to be a monthly donor today. And if you're feeling generous, you can even give a donation in my name. Thanks for listening, and keep on keeping on, America. Come on, man.
Thank you for watching the Wake Up America show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1, you can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself, or me mum, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great! Number 2, most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3, you're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me Pops build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell, this commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. All right, so we're done talking about how we're going to kidnap Javier Milei, tie him up in a sack, bring him here to the United States, force him to run for president so that we don't have to worry about this fall. That's obviously not going to happen. But can we get the ideas of Javier Milei exported to the United States? They already export delicious Argentine wine. Have you ever had a glass of Malbec? I was drinking some last night. So good.
Argentines make awesome wine.
Argentines make awesome wine, says my next guest, JD Tuchili, who writes for Reason Magazine and is joining us live on the phone. Good morning, JD.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, is Javier Milei the kind of a beacon of hope for you as much as he is for me?
He's a rare beacon of hope on the world stage. If we can get the Argentines are done with them to come here and work some magic for us, that'd be awesome. Especially since, as I think we're going to be discussing, our current president is running out of ideas of his own as they fade away into the ages. And we can certainly transplant Milei's ideas into his head.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to talk to you about Javier Milei. Maybe we can do that a little bit later in this conversation. But I read your piece, your excellent piece about Joe Biden's no good, horrible, bad day. Now, he's been having like a bad series of weeks, but last week he may have had the worst day of his presidency. Do you want to give us a recap?
Yeah, I mean, some people age gracefully and retain their vigor and their faculties as the years go on. Joe Biden is not one. And, the word is circulated. It's been obvious in the public, I think, for a long time with repeated and kind of accelerating flubs. He's not on top of his game. He's cognitively, he's declining. He doesn't have his mental faculties the same way he used to. Last week, just tidal wave of awfulness for the guy. I mean, he starts off telling tales of fundraiser, political rally, about a supposed conversation he had with heads of state and heads of government. It included, as he put it, Francois Mitterrand from Germany. And then he corrected himself quickly to say, no, Mitterrand from France, which is lovely, except that he's telling a story supposedly from 2021, and Francois Mitterrand died in 1996, and the current president of France is Emmanuel Macron. So then a few days later, he's telling the same story, and he refers to the Chancellor of Germany as Kohl, Hermann Kohl. And Kohl died in 2017, and the Chancellor during the story, he's telling was Angela Merkel. So that is another flub. And then he's talking about the war in Israel and the fight against Hamas. He can't remember the name of Hamas, and the reporter has to supply it. And this is all within a period of a few days, and it's all captured by the press, and it really looks for the president. It's not good. And then we come to Thursday. I mean, this is only 2/3 of the way through the week, and the Thursday comes. And the bad news there starts off, I guess thankfully for the president, with something that has nothing to do with his mind. It's that the Supreme Court is very dubious of Colorado's arguments, for dismissing Donald Trump from the ballot. Well, at least it distracts the public from Biden's mental faculties. But then Robert Hur, the special counsel looking into Biden's mishandling of classified documents, drops his report on the issue. Kind of good news in that he's decided he's not going to prosecute. There's not grounds for prosecution. Unfortunately for the president, especially in this week, one of the reasons he thinks there's no reason to prosecute is that Joe Biden is going to present as a well-meaning elderly man with a memory. There's no reason to stick him in front of a jury. This is just not going in the White House's direction. So, of course, Biden has to respond. And he holds a press conference and says, my memory is fine. And then he takes a question about Israel, and he confuses the president of Egypt with the president of Mexico. I mean, as weeks go, if you were scripting a week that would just highlight the weakest aspects of a declining president, aging and declining president, that week probably could not have gone any worse. It was a bad week for Joe Biden.
Is this a dangerous situation to have someone who's in that position with that amount of power to be stumbling in such a way? How does that make you feel, JD? And what do you think needs to be done?
I think it's dangerous in a couple. One is the presidency wields enormous power. It's clear on the world stage that the president of the United States isn't all there. And I think that rivals to the United States look at this and say, okay, well, the United States doesn't really have anybody at the steering wheel. We have a freer hand to do whatever it is we're going to do. Now, in reality, there probably are people exercising the powers of the presidency. We know that Woodrow Wilson, after he had a stroke, back after World War I, his wife and I believe his chief of staff were the two who were kind of acting as co-presidents, signing papers and making decisions in his name. There are people around Biden, I imagine, who are either fully making decisions or guiding his decisions in the direction they want. But they're not accountable. So that's dangerous in and of itself. They weren't elected to office. We don't really know who they are. So that has dangers right there. So it's dangerous to the U.S. and its interests on the world stage, but it's also dangerous in terms of accountability, in terms of who actually is wielding the vast powers of the office of the presidency. It's not a good situation for the United States.
We're speaking to JD2 Chile. He's a writer at Reason Magazine. You should definitely sign up for his newsletter, The Rattler, which is twice a week that comes out, JD?
3 times,
Wow.
3 times a week.
Man, you're a very, very prolific writer at Reason Magazine. You should sign up for The Rattler over there. It's a great read, and it definitely keeps me informed. JD's got probably the closest to anybody that I've read their views over at Reason.com, which is why I reached out to him to have him on this show as frequently as possible. We're talking a little bit about Joe Biden's mental health. Do you think that they knew that this special report that came out would have the impact that it would, or do you think that they were completely blindsided by the implications of that?
I think the inclusion, I think they assumed that he would not be prosecuted. High officials very rarely prosecuted for mishandling classified documents. Something I've written before, that the behavior that would get an average person or up to a mid-level official prosecuted, stripped of their job and even of their freedom, is really just kind of hand waved away among high officials. So I think they were confident that he would not face trial on this. And let's face it, 81. I mean, chances are he wouldn't be around for trial. But I think that the inclusion of the mental disability, the story in there, him not being able to recall when his son died, about not being able to recall the years during which he was vice president, I think that they were not prepared for. And as it turns out, it's actually not that uncommon for special counsels to include rationales for why they don't want to pursue a prosecution, especially if they said there were clear grounds of violation of law, which did too often. So they really, were expecting a better outcome from this, and that the report would be disputed by the Republicans, but it wouldn't do them any damage. Instead, it ended up being almost a worst case scenario, which is, you're not going to face a trial that you're not really afraid of anyway, but it's because your dude isn't up to facing a prosecution. And this really is. So I don't know where they take it from here. I'm going to have to grapple with reality.
Is this elder abuse in your mind?
My understanding from the things I've read, and it's not like I have special insight, but it's that Joe Biden's wife, exercises a lot of control over his decision in terms of whether he's going to continue in office, whether he's going to run for re-election, and that she really wants him to stay in office and to run for re-election. I think there's an elder abuse quality to it. But at the same time, he's the guy who knew he was fading and decided to run for office anyway. He made that choice, and now he's kind of stuck with it. We're stuck with him. And I think there are a lot of people around him who are exercising power beyond the nominal status of their offices, who very much enjoy doing that and want him to stay where he is so they can keep on doing what they're doing.
There was a case of this happening in American history, even worse than Joe Biden, a slight precedent set by Woodrow Wilson, who had a stroke and spent a little downtime in his bedroom, something like several weeks, where his wife actually signed legislation for him while he was an invalid. Did you know this story?
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, Woodrow Wilson is a big precedent for this. In fact, Woodrow Wilson's disability, which much of DC did know about and couldn't do anything about. And then, of course, the fact that FDR in the 40s disguised his own health, which was mental. Those were impetus passing the 25th Amendment, which allows to remove a president who's incapable of exercising his responsibilities. Problem is that the president is kind of disabled and is on top of his game. Cabinet probably has a freer hand to do what he wants to do. A lot of political types like it. So they've handed the ability to exercise the 25th Amendment to a group of people who are probably among the less inclined to exercise such discretion. They're not going to want to remove the disabled president. The Woodrow Wilson situation is very much a precedent for what is happening here. I suspect we're in a very similar situation, although Woodrow Wilson was completely out of it. Biden probably has significant boost at home in the state, but really is just not in a position to exercise full powers of the presidency. I don't know how you fix this. I mean, this is really kind of a mess, and it's a mess at a time when the world is in chaos.
Yeah, I probably need to make one of my little 1 minute history videos about the time Woodrow Wilson had a stroke and his wife was trying to keep the Republicans from going into his bedroom to confirm that he was an invalid. So maybe I'll do something like that later today. I'm speaking to JD Tuchili from Reason Magazine, talking about the mental fitness of the President of the United States. I love seeing the numbers climbing out there in the chat. 750 people watching us live. Thank you. Do us a favor if you're enjoying this content, click that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us to spread the ideas that you're hearing and listening to right now. JD Tuchili joining us from Reason Magazine, and me, Austin Peterson, the host of the Wake Up America show. We believe in economic freedom and personal liberty. So if that's your bag, baby, then make sure you click like and subscribe. We'd love to have you come back and join us because this show does stream live every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. JD is out in Arizona, so he's a little bit earlier than us. We appreciate him being generous with his time. I'd like to transition for a moment, JD, to ask you a question about Javier Milei. He is quite different from American libertarians. In the American libertarian movement, we are sort of dominated, at least to a degree, whether for good or for ill, by an anti-war movement that very much places the United States and Israel in a position that I kind of liken to oppressors and oppressed, which is very similar to the kind of the Howard Zinn, Noam Chomsky view of history. But Javier Milei doesn't seem to share those views. He has a very pro-America, very pro-Israel view of global politics, but still describes himself as an anarcho-capitalist, is still informed by Murray Rothbard and Ludwig von Mises and Friedrich Hayek, and cites all of the same philosophers and people that we here in the United States lionize. But yet he seems to come to a very different conclusion when it comes to who are the good guys or the bad guys in international politics. Have you noticed that? Why do you think that is?
Well, let's remember that every political movement is exercised within the context of culture, whereas Javier Milei is fascinating. I think it's amazing and probably really good for the people of Argentina. He came along when he came along. He's an Argentine. I mean, you look at him and he acts and carries himself. And I think he's kind of cool. But he acts and carries himself in a way that probably would not go over in the United States or the UK. I mean, he's an Argentine libertarian. And he's not informed by Anglo-American sensibilities in the way that an American libertarian is going to be. He's not, wokeness or social justice ideology, and that kind of intellectual strain really hasn't penetrated Latin American culture the way it's penetrated in the U.S. and the U.K. And also, Argentina is not a military force on the world stage, and so he's not aware of having to wield vast powers of of the state in the same way that the U.S. president is, because he doesn't have them. So he's going to be an Argentine libertarian who read the same books as an American libertarian, thinks like an Argentine, and that makes for a very different cat. And it's good. I mean, I wouldn't want to cut people, around the world. People should represent who their people are. Milei represents the Argentine people, even as he believes in libertarian ideas. It's interesting to see him filter out that way and him hopefully successfully transform the country. He's been ruled by, let's remember, the Peronists aren't fascists, ruled by a democratic fascist party. Decades. They've dominated political life in the country for a very long time. But I would not expect an Argentine libertarian to be the same as an American libertarian or the same as an Israeli libertarian, the same as a Slovak libertarian. It's just going to come out in a different way.
But have you noticed the skepticism of Javier Milei by American libertarians and anarcho-capitalists because of his pro-USA and pro-Israel stances?
I've seen two different strains of skepticism. One I'm sympathetic to, which is the I don't want to put my eggs in the basket and then invest my hopes in a politician against whom the gains is really. But I'm hopeful for the way, want him to succeed. And then there are others who look at him and say, yeah, he just thinks and acts differently than I do. He's very much an Argentine and a Catholic, and he's not a Catholic, actually. He's converting to Judaism. But he's very much a representative of his people in a way that certain American libertarians are not comfortable with. So I've seen that skepticism. The libertarian movement at this point is a big movement too, and there are different strains, and they don't, I think we all know, get along very well. So I mean, the fact that he comes out of that strain, and he has a certain intellectual tradition behind him, in addition to the cultural differences, means that some libertarians are not going to be as completely comfortable with him as they might be if he was, say, in Ave Basoto in Peru, came close to the presidency there 2 years ago. I think it was in their election. He's a different kind of libertarian.
Yeah, I've noticed this this rift in the American libertarian movement, specifically people reading Walter Block, the professor of Loyola University, reading him out of the movement, no longer a libertarian because of his pro-Israel views, but they don't share that same amount of skepticism necessarily for Javier Milei, even though he has these pro-Israel point of view. Both anarcho-capitalists, right? But it seems to be a double standard that we place. I guess we're just more harsh on our own people than we are overseas, or maybe it's that if you can actually win elections, and people will be more forgiving.
Israel is pro-Israel myself. That doesn't mean I want American troops to support Israel. There is strain of American thought, and you see it among people on the street in a lot of our cities, that treats Israel as an oppressor. They talk about it being a smaller country. I mean, as if there's any square inch on the planet where people evolved and are now descended from those who sprang from the earth, a million years ago. I mean, that's just not life. But there is very definitely a shift away from supporting Israel and towards that oppressed view of the world. And it has to a certain extent affected the libertarian movement too. So it's become a dividing line through American life and incorporates our political.
Yeah, man, it's always so refreshing talking to you, JD. I feel like you and I could just talk for hours about these things. There are very, very few people who have this level of knowledge about these topics, both national and international. JD, where can people find out more about your work? Maybe sign up for your newsletter.
So one up there today, number 2 slots on the site. And they include signups in each of the articles for my newsletter.
Yes.
You just subscribe.
Yeah, I love it. I hate getting emails, except when I get JD Tuccilli's newsletter. It's informative, it's brief, and it's just packed with great information. JD, thanks for being so generous with your time and getting up early for us and sharing your thoughts with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. JD Tuccilli peeps, what did you think? Good stuff. Wow. And the numbers were climbing too throughout, so I know you guys were enjoying the content. So can I ask you a favor to click like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already? We'd be grateful to have your support on the show today. What an absolutely amazing conversation we had with JD Tuccilli, Camelia Peterson, and Jon Miltimore. I mean, great show all around. And you got the bonus content. You unlocked the Grover Cleveland bonus content. I mean, what a fantastic program from beginning to end. And thank you to Rumble.com. I assume you featured us on the front page. I thank you for that. So here's the deal. A lot of people were asking about the hoodie, and you're like, Austin, why can't I buy the hoodie in your store? Well, in theory, you were supposed to be able to, as you can see it on the screen over there right now. But look at that hoodie that's on the screen. That's not the same hoodie that I got, right? So I'm not happy with this vendor because even though this hoodie looks good, it's like, it's not great quality and it doesn't look exactly like the picture. So I don't want to sell it to you, especially because it took forever to arrive. So I pride myself on bringing you the absolute top quality products at apforlibertyshop.com. I'm not going to bring you no junk, okay? I'm not going to sell it to you because I don't want to get a bad review. So visit apforlibertyshop.com now and remember that everything that you buy there is going to be inspected, top quality, good merchandise that you're not going to have to worry is going to take weeks and weeks and weeks and forever to get there. Get yourself a Viva la Libertad Carajo necklace. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Give it as a little gift for yourself, if you will. And if you haven't tasted Founding Flavors coffee, What are you doing with your life? You have not drank the most delicious coffee in the world. I do not say that lightly. I'm a coffee snob. I have the best coffee. Get a box. AP4libertyshop.com. That's AP, the number 4, AP4libertyshop.com. Thanks, everybody. You guys are amazing. I love the comments. You make me laugh every day. I wish we could all hang out in person. Wouldn't that be so much fun? I wish that there was a real studio audience that was clapping and stuff like that. I just feel like it would be more fun to just actually interact with everybody. And maybe one day we will. Maybe one day this will be a real show that'll have studio audience and, you know, applause and laughter and all kinds of stuff. And you can see the guests in person in real time. Wouldn't that be fun? Every purchase you make at AP4libertyshop.com, every Rumble rant you send helps to make things like that a reality. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting the show. People like Camelia Peterson, my wife Stephanie, who will be joining us on Friday. Thanks for helping to make our American dream come true. Viva la libertad, carajo. We'll see you tomorrow on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to Wake Up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at AP4libertyshop.com. So head to AP4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars, ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit PetersonVoiceStudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP4Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.